Hey, happy Friday, happy Friday. I'll give a few minutes for some people to join. This was an um, impromptu live. So we'll just give a few minutes here to see if anybody will join us today. I saw that I had reached 10,000 family members, so I thought I'd just come on and say thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Hey Andre, how you doing? It's just you and me for right now. I just can't. Oh, thank you, Andre. Thank you so much. I'm really was it's been up and down, up and down, up and down, and a lot of people had mentioned it that it was getting close. So I started watching it, and it's been like I said, it's been up and down. I just wanted to come in and tell everyone thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, Gabrielle. Just it's exciting. You know, I don't really look at the numbers a lot 'cause through the year it's been kind of a lot of milestones this year in 2020. I'm trying to catch everybody, but thank you so much, Terry. I didn't know who else that was. Y'all know I can't half read. I'm nearsighted for one thing, and I'm trying to wear these glasses. I just appreciate you all. I appreciate the number one, and I appreciate the number 10,000 or whatever number it is now. Um, Thank you, Gloria. How you doing? Shatika, Miss Avery, how y'all doing tonight? Thank you for joining the live. I know it was impromptu. I just kind of want to come in and say, thank you to everybody for being a part of the family. Claudia, thank you so much. And it's so funny. I think I know all you don't get to watch every let me see who this is. Juanita, thank you. Yolanda, thank you, thank you. Y'all don't get to watch everything. Some of you will get to watch it all. Some of you get to watch some here and there. Y'all support me across all of my social media platforms. And I really and truly appreciate it. I appreciate those that have. Thank you, Mika. Thank you. Hello, how y'all doing? Um, I just appreciate all of you. And I just want to let you know that I didn't want this time to go by without you knowing that. I know a lot of you have just been really rooting for me to to get to this point. And ironically, that was one thing I said I would like to see. You know how you just speak things, and I guess I spoke it into existence, and God hears you and answer prayers that you didn't even know you really prayed. Really, it's just speaking out loud and affirming things. And I said maybe I'll be at 10,000 subs by the end of this year. And lo and behold, look at God, look how He moved and how He worked. And I just want to thank you all for your encouragement along this year. I pray that you all have been just truly blessed this year. Whatever it is, God has brought you through it. You're at this point right now, and know that God will see you through. Hey, Keita, how you doing? Thank you so much. He will see you through in 2023, and we just gonna claim the victory as we go into 2023. We're gonna praise God out of 2022 and on into 2023. And it's so funny because a lot of people have announced, those have subscribed, and then some have unsubscribed with me over the years. But I appreciate this journey that I've had through YouTube. And I appreciate, like I said, all of you, even the ones that have unsubscribed, that still watch me, that got mad about something I said and quit me, broke up with me like I was their girlfriends or something. But they broke up with me along the way. But they come back and peek at me every now and then and did me kind of wink at me, trying to get it old thing back. But y'all know I'm silly. But anyway, I thank those too. I thank those that come watch. I thank those that's not subscribed. That think enough of me to spend some time to come to this channel, to even sit down and watch the channel. And it really yeah, you can make money on YouTube. Now I'm no big channel. I'm no big channel. I will tell you from on the average this year, I've made money every year on YouTube. I've been on YouTube. On the average, some people, I work a full-time job, so I don't have time to dedicate to YouTube to really, I'm not the best editor and none of that. Some people do these quality things, but some people strictly do YouTube for earnings. Now, I earn on YouTube. I would say on the average this year, it's probably been around $500 a month on the average. But you get people like B Loves, and these people have actually become millionaires. They actually have become millionaires. The first thing you have to do is have a channel. It's not difficult to get there. I won't say it's difficult, but see, one thing people tend to do, they want to blow up overnight. This is not, well, not for me anyway. It's not that type of party. You know, my channel is very small, and it's took a while. I've been on, you gotta think, I've been on YouTube for 6 years, and it's taken me 6 years to get to 10,000. But some people get to 10,000 in a month. You know, it all depends. You have to be consistent, first of all. First of all, you have to start a channel. Then you have to be consistent, and you can't get discouraged, because if you come going in it just for money, you have to realize that it's just may not happen overnight. And a lot of people tend to think they go into it for money, and they think that it's going to happen overnight, and then they get discouraged because they're doing it. I never got started with YouTube for the money situation, because like I said, I do work full time, and I don't have the kind of time to dedicate just to doing YouTube, you know, because my job, you know, that was what I wanted to do as a career. I started out wanting to do a career in accounting. I like my job just fine. I'm no longer in accounting type job situation, but I do like my job. I do like what I'm doing. And so, well, like I said, if you get into it, you're going to need at least, I think it's 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours before you can even get monetized. And then, you know, the monetization thing, it happens where you get paid on a CPM. And every channel doesn't get paid the same CPM. Where, you know, I may get $5 per 1,000 views, or B-Loves may get $100 per 1,000 views. It all depends on what YouTube feels like is quality content. Now, one thing they do say, if you stick to a niche, you will probably be a person who will soar. But you see, my channel all over the place. I do whatever. And that was my whole thing. When I first started the channel, if a lot of you all remember that's been with me, know that I started the channel out being Donna's Journey. And this is still, I just changed the name to my legal name, which everybody knew anyway, is Donna Anderson. I changed that during the year, you know, because a lot of people was looking for me from other social media platforms, and I'm mostly Donna Anderson on other social media platforms. But, you know, I be all over the place. That might be why my channel is taking so long to grow, because, you know, you show up in the algorithms if you have the same type of content. Like a lot of people who do mukbangs, you know, I do mukbangs, I do shopping, I do hauls, I do just vlogging my life, I talk about different stuff, just chit-chatting. But when you have like a niche, thank you so much, you can kind of stick to it, and people kind of flock to your channel for that niche. So you'll see people like a B-Love that does only mukbangs. And she has several channels, but on one channel she does only mukbangs, like a Lips, or like a KC Connections, you know. So if you have something that you just kind of want to stick to, and some people go with the trends and stuff like that, couples channels and stuff like that. But like I said, I'm all over the place, and I try not to get into doing things for just earning per se. You see what I'm saying? Because then I don't want to be stuck in a rut. But yeah, if you like cooking, and I know a lot of people who do cooking channels and they blow up. So like I said, get into it, and if you enjoy it, but don't get discouraged when it doesn't happen overnight. Like I said, I've been on YouTube consistently. I was on YouTube beforehand, but consistently for 6 years. So like, yeah, I do the inspirational stuff like that. So yeah, Logan Paul is very wealthy off of YouTube. And this young content creator, he's now a rapper also, but he still does content creating. He's a young man. He's dating that Little Mermaid. Ugh, that's not her. Little Mermaid. I can't think of her name. It's Halle Bailey. Halle Bailey. Logan Paul is real big, and he's done some of those little charity boxing matches. But this young man is dating, if you can look him up, is DDG. Now this young man started $45 million. Oh my God. This young man particularly was curious about him, because he said he was in college. Very smart young man. He was I guess valedictorian of his high school. And he was in college, and he said he got this large check off of YouTube. He started doing YouTube in college. He got this large check off of YouTube, and he ended up quitting college. I think the second or third month he was doing YouTube, and focused on earning in YouTube, right? And so he's a multi-millionaire. I think he was also on the Forbes. He was in Forbes this year as one of the up and coming millionaires. I just, listen to his story so I can kind of talk about him. But it's just amazing what you can do if I guess you put your mind to. But this young man put his entire family on, and everyone in his family, from his mother, his sister, his brother, even his little 6-year-old nephew, is earning money from YouTube. Now he since went on to become a rapper as well. He still does YouTube, but like I said, he's dating that Halle Bailey person. And so I see people like, a lot of the celebrities are also kind of not leaving, I guess, the low hanging fruit on the table. Thank you, Bertha. How you doing? What part of Mississippi are you in, Bertha? I'm in Mississippi too, outside of Memphis. Man, could you imagine making that much money from a platform like this? But I guess if your life is entertaining enough, I don't think I'm that interesting like that, though. Oh, you're in Jackson. How's the water situation in Jackson? It's been pretty up and down here, and well, not. I've been fine over in Olive Branch, but in Memphis area, they've been on a boil water advisory, and they just took the boil water advisory off. We got emails from our job. Got emails on our job. I don't have any plans, Alex, for the new year. I'm actually going to. They like to shoot a lot around here. I used to go to church. Hey, from Alabama, how you doing? I used to go to church and see the midnight service in, but I don't go out. I don't venture out. You still on a boil water advisory in Jackson? Wow. Yeah, I don't. I haven't made a macaroni and cheese video yet, and I haven't made one. I probably won't make one unless I have like a holiday or some type of party event to go to, because Amber doesn't like macaroni and cheese. Well, she's no longer living with me now. She came back home until she could buy a home, which she has done. But it's just me here, and it's a lot. It's macaroni and cheese. For one thing, it's kind of pricey, but it's just too much for me here. Even though I like it, y'all, I like homemade macaroni and cheese. I do, so I'll get some. My aunt had some actually at her Thanksgiving, but I didn't eat any. I ate very little of the things that I wanted, and I wanted some turkey, so I didn't get any. But I just buy the little cups, so when I get a taste for it, that's the farthest thing from homemade. Or if I go to a restaurant here that sells soul food, and I don't know if anywhere you like this, a lot of some corner stores and some of the gas stations actually sell soul food in them. Oh, thank you, Mika. Thank you. I'm real proud for her. I'm happy for her. I'm glad that she did what she's supposed to do. And I was doubtful, y'all. I was doubtful because I was like, this chick, show me spending money. She's going to Las Vegas, doing her thing. She's been living the life, y'all. You living the life. While she was here, but I was kind of glad that she kind of went on through it. Y'all have soul places that call Cox Soul Food. Yeah, that's my thing. I'll go somewhere if I want something like that. But yeah, she actually did what she was supposed to do. So congratulations to her, because like I told her, whether you keep the house a year or whatever, you will figure out what it is you want. But it's so funny, I guess, because the rent went up so high until you almost like, if I'm going to pay $1,500 looking at a 1-bedroom, I can get a house for the same amount of mortgage for more room or whatever. And if she decides she wants to get a roommate and do all that, then that's fine. You know what's so funny? My brother said something, but Amber went off to college, and she went to college in Atlanta. So she would go, and I've gotten used to not really being with her on holidays through college, because sometimes she would stay in Atlanta during Thanksgiving. She would always come home for Christmas, but she would stay in Atlanta during Thanksgiving because she also kind of worked. So, her little internship. So she was not coming home. So I got used to her being gone. So when she came home from college after she graduated, I got sick. I was originally thinking she was going to move back to Atlanta, but she didn't. because I got sick that month right after she graduated. The month of her graduation, I got sick and ended up in the hospital. So I don't know if she got scared to go back or what. But she ended up getting an accounting job here in Memphis. And so she said, I like Atlanta just fine, but it's nowhere I want to live. It's too congested, it's too crowded, it's too this and that. And she said it's really too expensive. So she said, so she ended up staying here. So she stayed with me. I told her, you can either, if you go to Atlanta, I pay 3 months of your rent up, if that's what you want to do, or you can come here and live with me for a year, save you money. Then she moved out and she got on with this company called MAA. Who is that? Hey, Sheila. Yeah. Hi. I'm glad you called me. She got on with this company called MAA, and she worked with them for 5 years. 5 years she worked with them, but she moved out after a year, and she stayed out, and then, she came home. And when I got ready to buy this house, I told her you could come home, and she came before I got into before my lease. Her lease was time to sign her lease again, and she didn't. And I told her to save your money to buy you a home, if that's what you're leaning towards doing. And she was kind of up and down whether she wants to do it or not. But with the economy, you look at the rents, that, and I'm blessed that I thank God that I was able to help her. So that's a blessing. But yeah, so that's what went on with her. So I do miss her, like I said, some in a way, but I'm so used to her being gone. Sometimes I make a noise because I get up with the chickens and I make noise, and I used to think, man, I'm gonna wake her up, and sometimes a couple of days I'll be like, man, I'm like, ain't nobody here but me. I can make all the noise I want to make, so that's the funny part. But that's the only thing. But I'm so happy for her. I'm, like I said, I think because I'm used to her being gone, living on her own anyway, but she had been back for a minute, so it's different with her being gone. But I don't miss the mess, y'all. I can tell you that right now. I don't miss the mess. I don't miss the fussing about clean up behind yourself. Don't leave no dishes in my sink. Don't empty garbage. I don't miss none of that. You get to a point you don't be telling grown folks this kind of stuff. So I don't miss that. So it's just going to be kind of funny to see how she keeps her home now. She's a homeowner for sure. But anyway, do y'all have adult children at home with you all? And if so, how's that? How's that going? It's a difference when they become adults, because you still try to respect their space as adults, but it's like a couple of days I had to kind of say, she coming in 3 o'clock in the morning. 4 o'clock in the morning. You worry about them, it's a different worry when you like, wonder if they're okay. But I try not to. I'm like, she's responsible. She's an adult. She's gonna go out sometimes. So it's just kind of not to have that word. But then sometimes when she don't answer the phone, cause I'm gonna go off in 2 or 3 days, 4 days. Sometimes I don't hear from her. Cause she living her life. She young. And I try not to worry. I call and check on her. She don't call back. I'm like, okay. But then you start to worry. I wonder if she all right. Do I have to do a well check on her? Do I have to do a well check? So I've kind of gotten on her about that. Make sure you check in a couple of times a week. Out here living a life fantastic and all of that. So you always gonna love and care for your kids, but it's a proud moment, when you go see them live their own life and be productive and be able to kind of manage their own life for themselves, because you're not, much as I would love to live forever, I know that's not realistic. But of course, I want to be healthy and in my right mind as I live. But I know it's not realistic to be thinking that I'm gonna live forever. So I want to know that she's gonna be self-sufficient and do the things that she needs to do for her life. And I'm glad she's in that. She did well in her apartment. Now I would give her money just because I'm her mother, of course. Even if I didn't have it, just to do things for here and there. But she never asked for her rent or utilities. She took care of what she needed to take care of her main bills on her own. I think the money I gave her was goof off money. When I gave her something, if I hit the lottery or anything, I would give her a ticket or something and say, you turn that little $300 in and keep it and do what you want to with it. But other than that, it's so funny. I got out earlier today, right? Because y'all know I'm getting ready to go into a no spend January, right? You have a 4-year-old. You got a long way to go. And Mika, let me tell you something. These children grow up fast. You may think, okay, they're 4 today, but 4 today will be gone tomorrow. And they'll be a grown adult in college, gone away and do whatever. And And I tried to make every effort, even though I worked a lot. I worked 2 jobs. I was going in school. I was always doing something. But I would stay up to 3 o'clock in the morning just so I would have time. When was in, Amber was always in something. When she was in something, I always made the time. I always made the time to go to her events. You know, if she wanted to try viola, she wanted to try to be in a flag corps, she wanted to do Girl Scouts. She was all over the place. And Decca and I always tried to make a way to be involved. Everything she had, I showed up, you know, and thankfully my brother would come and show up too and support her. Because, you know, even though they don't act like they care when you're there. So enjoy them while they're young. Do what you can while they're young. Because they get up, like I said, I'm going about her business. She don't be studying me. Of course, we try to take a vacation at least once a year, once every other year together. We don't really just be up under each other like that, you know. And of course, you're going to miss that part of their life. So just enjoy them while they, you know, you're going to fuss at them. I'm not saying don't fuss at them, because you're going to have moments where you're going to fuss them. That's what you're supposed to do as a parent. But, you know, enjoy the time that you have and don't rush it, because it goes by so fast. It truly does. It truly does. You so enjoy them. Enjoy your 4-year-old. Let them be 4. Let them be 5. Let them be, and they gonna be a mess. They gonna work on your heart, your head, and everything else. Me like, Jesus, give me the strength. Give me the strength, dear Lord. You know, parenting does not come with the manual, but you know, pray over them and pray over them all through their life. You know, and give them to God, because one thing somebody told me a long time ago, that God does not have any grandkids. You know, He does not have any grandkids, and we're all His children. And sometimes, you know, He doesn't trust us with children here on this earth. But at the end of the day, you have to give them back to Him, because that's who He belongs to. They belong to Him. So, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Um, but yeah. I tell you, it's something raising the children. Y'all, I saw the neatest thing, and I want to say this to you all going into, um, and it was funny how it was put, but I'm like, it's really not true. They say, so whatever it is you have on your heart you want to do, you talk it over with God. God is faithful. He will give you the desires of your heart. I promise you. It may not come when you want it to, but it will happen. Because just like I had said years ago, and one of the family members, Lauren, pointed it out. She saw a whole video and it made a comment on it, and I hadn't realized it was somewhere. It was a job I was at 3 years ago, and I said something about, but I think this was 4 years ago I made the comment, because I've been here almost 4 years, and I said, I think I'm going to write an ebook. And it's just funny how that, you know, like I said, God will answer your prayers. He is faithful. He stands on the promises and things that you never know. And I end up writing 2 devotionals. So whatever it is you have in your heart that you want to do, I encourage you to talk it over with God, and He will give you the desires of your heart. You know, just stand on His promises. Hey, Deborah, how you doing? Stand on His promises, and getting to what I heard, what I saw. Uh, I wasn't a troublemaker as a kid. I wasn't. I'm pretty much the same type of personality I am now. I was kind of quiet and reserved. And to be honest with you, as much as I talk, and even though I'm on social media, and I am very open to talking to people, but I kind of am a person to kind of sit back and kind of observe. And I was very observant as a child. And I'm still the same way. I'm very observant. I'm kind of quiet. Even my friends notice this. I kind of sit back. I only speak at certain times. Most of my friends are kind of type A. They're very outgoing. And I'm outgoing to a certain extent, but I kind of lay back and I only talk when it's necessary in a public setting. And so, but I'm not shy. You know, I'm just kind of just a laid back type person. And that's the same type of child I was. So that's the funny thing, that, you know, that's just how I've been, you know, so it's funny. But you know what? I know God has done a work in me, because I would be observant, you know, back in my younger days. But if you did something to me, I would hold on to it and I would get you back some type of way. You know, I was kind of but you know what? I'm going to tell you, I know when God moved in my life, you know, I had my son at 19 and he passed away. But when I had Amber, I said, you know, this is, you want to be an example for your child. You want to, um, yeah, like in teenage years and stuff like that, you know. But even when I was in my 20s, once you did something to me, I held a grudge against you. I may not have done anything to you, but I held a grudge, even in my 20s, my early 20s. But like I said, when I got pregnant with my daughter, I was 24, right? I had her when I was 25. While I was pregnant, I had a situation that happened to me that Christmas. And I was like, I'm spending time arguing with this person for what? Life is too short. I made up in my mind then that I was going to make a change in my life. And I said, you know, you have to raise your child. And unfortunately, you know, and I'm like, you want your child to grow up in love and I'll get to that in a minute. You want your child to grow up in love. You want her to have as many people in her life that loves her. But you have to show love. You have to show kindness. You have to be the person to be an example for your child. And that changed me. You know, and I said, you know, you can't be holding no grudge against nobody. How is that helpful for your life? How's that helpful for her? How's that going to show her how to be and how to live? Not saying that Amber have my same personality because she kind of mean sometimes. But anyway, I would say for an adult child trying to regain independence, you know, it's difficult when you, because we all have hills and valleys in life. And I didn't start out here. And I still struggle. You know, I'm in debt a lot. But, you know, my thing is this. I've been in a shelter. I'm telling you, life deals you some punches. You're not going to always be up. You're going to go through hills and valleys in life. And all I could do is tell you, if you have an adult child that is experiencing some situations right now, be there for them, but also be there for them. You want to be there to support them in a way that say, I'm here to support you and I love you, but I'm not here to support you like this all your life. These are the steps. And you have to have constant conversations. Because I know Amber didn't want to hear the stuff I was saying, but I had constant conversation with her. I didn't try to beat her over the head with it. You know, I didn't try to beat her over the head with it, but I'm like, you need to be making these steps. Watch your spending. Watch this, watch that. And you want to start out with something that you think that, as their parent especially, you know some things that they can manage. If you're not the parents and you are the adult child, you start making steps to do the things you want to do for your life. You know, you start having expectations of your child. If it's you're a parent and your child is just not doing anything, you're going to have some expectations of them. You're going to have to do this. And it may have to be, look, I need you to produce $50 a week or something, or $50 a month. If it start out small to get them to the point, if you take that money and save it for them, even if you don't need it, make them have something they are required to do. And if it's not you and it's you, you start requiring yourself to do something and start setting expectations of yourself. Because just because somebody is doing for you and helping you don't mean that they don't get tired. They get tired too. You know, so you start having expectations for yourself and start being responsible. You know, doing some things and move out. You know, if you look, y'all think I started out at this job. It took me a whole lot of going to school, a whole lot of hours to get the position I'm in. A whole lot of jobs. You know, I had to work my way up in this corporation. Don't think. And even when I was in a position with master degrees, I got my tail out and worked part-time. I got out and drove Lyft. Because you cannot be too good. And I learned that from my dad. You cannot be too good to do anything. Don't worry about what the outside people are thinking. Don't worry about what other people are saying. Because nobody's going to pay your bills. You get out if you got to go to McDonald's and work. I worked at McDonald's. I worked at Burger King. I worked at Wendy's. I worked at this place in England called the Burger Barn. You know, so I'll tell you about that too. I worked at this place in England called the Burger Bar. I worked, you know, a little accounting internship. That was my love for accounting. Yes, I would definitely get married again. I tell you, I'm gonna talk about the music I had listened to growing up. I listened. Luckily, my dad was in the military. I've told y'all that several times. 20 some odd years. We grew up very strict. My dad is also a minister. Now he would play gospel. My dad wasn't the type. Now he was very strict. We couldn't play cards because he said we argued over cards. But my dad allowed us to listen to music. So I grew up listening to all type of things. And when we moved to England, I mean, all kind of R&B. You know, gospel was real big in our house. My dad used to play Andre Crouch, Reverend James Cleveland a lot. You know, the Mississippi Mass Choir. When I grew up, that was the gospel type music we listened to. Shirley Caesar, stuff like that. We listened to growing up. But we also listened to all type of R&B, old school, Teddy Pendergrass, Prince, you name it. We listened to it. The Jackson 5, Gladys Knight. We listened to it. And then, like, back in the day, the Sugar Hill Gang, when they were out, and then we moved to England, and it was this, my mother, my stepmother at the time, following this, I think his name was Paul Thomas. But I fell in love with this group when we moved to England. I like Simply Red. I like Wham. UB40 was my favorite group back in the day, when I was coming. Red, red wine. So, I mean, from rock and roll to all genres of music, we only had so much we could listen to. We end up listening to a lot of British artists over season. And ironically, you had a lot of British soulful artists. So we end up listening to a lot of that when we were in the station in England. So it was just a nice, um, I'm glad that I was exposed, and I had so many friends from all nationalities growing up too. So it was just kind of being exposed to like a lot of Hispanic type music, a lot of like Midwestern type music. I never knew what they were saying, right? But I was like, they say black people can pick up on any beat. You're going to make a party out of anything. So maybe that's it. Maybe that's what I did. Would I get married again? Absolutely. And this is something that I wrote in my journal today. Because I spent some time at the end of the year reflecting on some things. And I took a long time. So it was just me and God. And I was just writing some things for me and God. I've always said I honor marriage. I respect marriage. I think marriage is a wonderful thing if you have two people that want to be in it. Ironically enough, I never really kind of dwelled into my marriage, y'all. I had a good husband. Now, he had his own set of problems. I think I'm a good person. I had my own set of issues. Would I still be married today if we weren't at the age? It wasn't like we were young. My ex-husband was like 5 years older than me. But I had doubts on my wedding day, and I don't really think I should have married my husband on my wedding day. Because when I went to my dad and said I was going to wait to get married, he said, "What you waiting on?" And I just felt like I needed to go ahead and get married. But on the wedding day, I remember thinking, I don't really want to get married. And that doesn't take anything away from the fact that he was a good person. And I saw it was so much, we were so varying as people, and I knew that things didn't match. They say you should be equally yoked. I knew that on the wedding day. And people don't change when you're married. Man, I never thought he would change. And what I'm glad to see is that he's had the life that he wanted to have. And I've somewhat had the life I want to have. I don't think that we could have had that. I think that I was 25 when I got married. I don't think we could have had that had we been together. And I think he would have suppressed the person he was in order to please me, if that makes sense. And I would have been forever fussing and frustrated with him. Like, and he might have been frustrated with me too, to be honest with you. We were kind of, thank you so much, Rose. I think you say you could be two good people, but you're just not good together. And you're not making the right. And I even told him on the wedding day, I said, I don't know. But I was so tired, y'all, because I did all the food and everything. And I was like, he said, you're just tired. You're just tired. And I said, well, maybe he's right. So I went on with it. And I kept my dad's words running in my ear. Now, my dad was a married man. He married all three of his children's mothers. He had 3 wives, and all of them have kids. By my mother was his first wife. She has 2 children. My oldest sister's mother was his second wife. That was his childhood sweetheart. He went back and they kind of married each other. After that, they both had other children now, but they got married to each other. So I think he always wanted to marry her. So, you know, in your mind, you romanticize things. And so he married his second wife. I mean, he married his first child, my sister, oldest sister mother, second. And then he married my stepmother, third. He had gained custody of my brother and I. And so it was just the 3 of us for a while because my oldest sister stayed in Memphis with her mother. So, and we came to Memphis after my dad got custody of us. He was stationed in Greece. And we stayed with my grandmother a year. That was the same way with your marriage. Yeah, I'm telling you, it's something how you, and I tell people marriage can be great. I think it's great to have companionship. It's great to do things, but you always want to marry somebody for the right reasons. And you want to be able to be open. And that's what I wrote in my journal. I'm all over the place. Y'all know how I do though. Y'all used to me. But I always said, you know, God, if it's meant for me to be with somebody, let me be open. Because in a lot of ways, I'm open to a certain extent, but I'm closed to letting people really, in personal life, if you're not already in my life, it's kind of hard to kind of break into that barrier. You know, it's hard to kind of break in to like, are you going to even get close enough to me talking about some marriage? You know, so I ask God if it's meant for me to be with somebody. And I'm fine being alone too. I think being in a relationship is long, but I think you need to learn how to love yourself. But I'm fine being alone too. But I said, God, if it's meant for me to be in the marriage, you're going to have to give me some discernment because you're going to have to open me up to let somebody even close enough to me to even get to that point to talk about some marriage. But, and so I was dating, but I had to realize and kind of take a step back because my patience was like 2 cents worth. Hi, Sabrina, thank you. I had 2 cents worth of patience, and if they said anything wrong, I'm like, I'm not going back on a date with them. But I have to realize you got to give somebody a real opportunity if you going to get to a point. So I asked God to kind of open me up and give me some discernment. And, you know, if I go into an area that is not meant for me to be in, to protect me in that situation and move me out of it, you know. And I tend to, because I'm very loyal to a person, and once I love you, I love you. You know, I'm going to try to work it out. I'm going to try to stick with it. And believe it or not, you know, my ex-husband and I, he was good. He's not my daughter's biological father, but he took her on, you know. And it's so funny because people like, but like I said, I always wanted people in my life, in my daughter's life, that loved her and didn't want to hurt her because of my situation and how I grew up, you know, not having my mother around. And so he was good to my daughter, and I still respect him to this day. I would do anything to help him if I could. Like I say, he's a good person. We just weren't good together. And even with, it's so funny, her father's mother, she's long since passed. Her actual biological mother and her sisters, and they all came to my wedding. And it's so funny, I didn't meet them until after the birth of my daughter. And it's so odd how they have been there for her all through the years. They show up at her graduation. They came to Atlanta when she graduated from college. And I just love them to death. So I always say I had kind of like, even though her father and I wasn't together at ever, you know, after that, you know, after we broke up, you know, I always felt like I had, I do have some financial goals, but it's just not for the New Year's, just for life. I was married for 5 years. But I've always said I was blessed to have a good extended family from my daughter's actual biological father, from my ex-husband, because when I got divorced from my husband, my mother-in-law, God rest her soul, and they were like, you would have never known that that wasn't her granddaughter. Biologically. My ex-husband still treated her well, and my ex-mother-in-law, sister-in-law family still treated her well. Her biological family treated her well, you know, so it was just a blessing. And She called me and said, "You're not going to divorce us too, are you? Thank you so much." I said, "No, I'm not going to divorce y'all." So we've always had a relationship, and I think it made it awkward for his now wife. They started dating prior to us getting divorced, but we weren't together, so it didn't make no difference to me, you know. But I would always be at the family's house, and people say, "How you get along with your ex?" and stuff like that. I couldn't stand that, and I think that maybe she was kind of in that situation where she really kind of felt uncomfortable with me being around. But I'm like, baby doll, I don't want him. We just friends, you know. He loves this child, and I'm not gonna take that away from them, you know. So that situation. So yeah, it's funny how, you know, it was a blessing. So I tell people now, if you are in a situation where you have gotten divorced from someone, if you're not with the child's father, if you, it's not about you. Unless that person is physically doing something to harm your children, even if they've hurt you and y'all have they cheated or whatever, it doesn't matter, because that was a situation with her biological father. It doesn't matter about that. Okay, at some point y'all were good together. At some point y'all had that dynamic relationship. Unless, you know, sometimes it's situations of violence that children are brought into the world. But if you know, if you've chosen to be in a relationship with somebody and it didn't work out, when you look at that child, you remember, don't be hateful, don't be mean. You remember that that child is a part of someone else that you chose at one time to be with. Don't make it about you. Don't make, and it's hard sometimes, but I always knew that I was never going to make it about me, never about my personal feelings or how I felt. And it was going to be about my daughter. So I encourage you, if you have a child in a situation, if you're going through turmoil with your baby's father, and remember, they have other family too. And my daughter's biological father is huge. It was 8 of them. And so I'm like, I don't want her to end up marrying none of her cousins or nothing like that, you know, dating her cousin. I want her to know her family. So remember that. And if you can, let them know who their family are. Let them know who they came from. You know, have a good relationship with that person. And I grew up, and I'm thankful, because my mother, like I said, my dad had custody of us. And I'll tell you about that in a minute too. My dad had custody of us. But you know, I can honestly tell you, I'm sure my dad may have thought some bad things about my mother. My dad never spoke a bad word about my mother. And after he and my mother got divorced, I remember we were in Shreveport for a period of time, for a couple of years. And my grandmother, my dad's originally from Memphis. That's how he ended up retiring here. Would get us in the summertime, and my dad would take leave, and he would come, and he would come. We came here one summer, and we came here one Christmas before my dad actually got custody. And he would come off leave. I think at one point he was stationed at Blytheville, Arkansas. And you know, Memphis is nowhere from Blytheville, so I don't know if you know that or not. But he would come, and we would spend some time together with my dad. But I never really heard my mother say anything really about my dad. She would just call him that man, whatever that means, that man. But they never spoke ill of one another. And so that was the example I had in my life. You know, that even if it doesn't work out, that's still your parent. That's still your whomever that loves you. I never felt like I had to not love my mother. I never felt like I had to not love my father, you know. So that's that. And I hear a lot of people say, you know, you blame. A lot of times the children they romanticize it too, because they look at the fun parent. I realized my dad was not a fun parent, child, when we started living with him permanent. Oh my God. My dad was. He wasn't mean. My dad was very kind of, I never knew I was loved as a child. He was very distant. But he was like a responsible, very strict type person. So yeah. So that's that for that. Now, did I grow up in a house full of cooks? And I can tell you, my grandmother was, when we lived with her, my mother cooked. But I don't really remember. I was so young. I don't remember a whole lot, but my mother did cook. Now, I don't remember my mother. I know my mother, after her and my father got divorced, and when she had custody of us, because I remember going to school a couple of years in Shreveport, she cooked, and I know my mother was on food stamps. And I was telling my brother, we were talking about that. I said, I don't remember not ever having, I don't know if that wasn't the thing back then, but I don't remember my mother not cooking and us just eating this, that, and the third. My mother cooked meals. And so when we stayed with my grandmother for a year, and even when we went in the summertime, my grandmother got up every morning fixing breakfast. My grandmother was a very good cook. She got up cooking breakfast. We would have, like, she worked at this Peabody Community Center. So we would do like the summer program, and where she worked at the Peabody, off of Peabody in Memphis. She worked there. So we would go to the summer program and we would have lunch there. But even when on the weekend, we would always have lunch. She would fix lunch and she would fix dinner. We had cooked meals. My mother, and she would make cakes and stuff. And so when my dad got custody of us, we rarely ate out. Of course, then after my dad got remarried and started having more kids, it was a lot of us. Even though he was in the military, we lived on base housing. It was still a lot of us. So I don't know a whole lot of not having cooked meals or expectation that when you get married and when you have children and when you have a family that you cook. So I don't know how good of a cooks we are. But it was good to me tasting wise. Now I don't like everything all my family cook, but it's so ironic. Even all my aunts and all of them, they cook. My brother, when he first moved out of his, he would call me about stuff, and I would tell him what to do and how to do it. But my brother said I was the king of breakfast cooking. I was the king. Of course, he cooked other things now, but I tell anybody, when you start out cooking, the easiest thing to start out fixing is breakfast food. And he started out fixing, because it don't require a whole lot of recipes. So it was breakfast food. And my dad, we grew up with my dad baking cakes, and my dad would cook on Sundays, child. Some of that stuff my dad cooked, I was like, if he don't go on somewhere with these made up recipes, he would cook this. Oh, I hated it. He would put like green peas, y'all, with this cream of mushroom soup. It was so nasty. But he thought he was doing something. And I remember this growing up, they would make me eat liver. I don't like liver to this day. I hated liver then. I don't like it to this day. But I just grew up in a house, people with expectations of, you having cooked meals for your kids. So it's always baffling to me that even the people that are on stamps and stuff, that they don't cook for their family. It's just odd to me. What made me start a YouTube channel? I just was on a different journey in my life. And I said, I had started doing YouTube actually years ago when I was doing MLM, which is multi-level marketing. I would be like selling products like Skinny Fiber. I did TLC for a little while. And I thought about getting back into it, But I started out, kind of doing my YouTube channel for that. And that's when Google used to have like something like a Facebook thing. They had that, and I would be on Google and Twitter and all of that, doing my MLM products. And so I started that. And then I just kind of let it go to the wayside. So I already had some subscribers 6 years ago when I came back on. Then I made up my mind. I said, this will be something fun to do. I'm going to get into it. I'm going to just chronicle things I'm doing in my life. I was going through a situation where, like I said, I had been in the hospital after Amber had with diverticulitis. I was in the hospital for 10 days. I almost waited too long, was what the doctor said. So I said, I'm going to start journaling things in my life and just having this to look back on. And I'm going to just go through whatever, And I knew that I had to have I see how cruel people can be on social media. So I just put myself out there. I'm like, it is what it is. And Lord, I got some ugly comments. I did. You this, you that, whatever. And that, I never did tell y'all what I was going to say. That comes to my mind of, they say if you don't want criticism, never do anything, never try anything, never go for anything, right? But I'll tell you about that in a minute. Never go for anything, right? And so, but that's not true. That's not true. That's why I'm saying do what you want to do in your heart, because even if you do nothing, somebody going to always have something to say. They're going to have something to say if you're doing something, if you're not doing anything. So you're going to get criticized. They criticize Jesus. But of course, Jesus was doing something. But like I said, somebody gonna always have something to say, whether good or bad. So I made up my mind, I didn't really care what nobody had to say. You know, whatever. I'm gonna keep on doing, Donna. I was never ashamed before. I always kind of was at the point of, this is who I am. You know, some people gonna like me and some people not gonna like me. And if it's one person to join me, and I said one thing I wanted to do, I wanted to share my love of Christ. I wanted to share my love for God, and you know, the goodness of God in my life. If it could help somebody, I said, get a relationship with the Lord. I said, you know, just out of anything, maybe I could be an example, maybe I can be an encourager, maybe I can show somebody kindness on here. Thank you, Mr. Couponer. Maybe I can show somebody kindness on here, you know, that they can see when they're down, that they have somebody that can come just sit, just an old regular person. And by the way, my first videos, and I ain't saying I'm the great most video person now, but I was looking at some of my videos. I said, "Ooh, the quality of that was terrible." So don't stop anything from getting you started. Don't let nothing stop you from getting you started, right? Um, Cause even if your equipment is not the best, you can always grow into equipment. You know, I have some cameras that I really had spent some money on and invested in. That camera gave me the blues. So, like I said, just do you if you want to get on YouTube, even if somebody else, ooh, excuse me, I'll move this camera around. Even if somebody else is doing what you think, you know, it's no more room for that. They're not you. So, hey, do it. I probably missed your question, but how did I come to my dad? My I don't know what went on really, because I was so young. You know, when my mother lost custody of us, I think she just gave us up. Really, my mother, my biological mother. I don't have anything bad to say about her. Excuse me, y'all. But I never, from the time my dad gained custody of us, I never really saw my daughter or my mother again until I had my own child. You know, and that's because we took a trip to Shreveport. She really wasn't very nice then, so but hey, it is what it is. You know, like I said, I've since forgiven my mother and gone on, you know, and I realized just looking at some things, and I had a sister also. I have a sister, not had a sister, I have a sister by my biological mother. That's not my father's child. That, you know, when she was one, we left. So I hadn't seen her since she was 1 year old. But she's been to Memphis a couple of times and stayed with me a couple of times. And, you know, and listening to her and some of the things she went through as a child, you recognize that although it may not have been the best situation growing up in a blended family where it was a stepmother who I didn't really think liked us very much either, you know, and express such things, you know, but you recognize that you still was in the best situation that was meant for you, that God covered you even in that situation. I don't think my mother was equipped to handle raising children at all. I don't think so. Now, this is just my perception and my thoughts. And when you kind of learn people's background and a lot of her family history and a lot of stuff she went through. Now, we have uncles and aunts, thankfully, that was kind to us, that I remember from childhood, you know, that was kind to us when we weren't Shreveport. But you kind of went through that. I can tell you that I did get corporal punishment from my dad, but it was very mild compared to her. Um, yeah, I used to get whooped with extension cords and things of that nature with her. So, like I said, I don't think, but you recognize that it's some things about her that, you know, in her own family history, because you see a lot of them on that side of the family that didn't raise their children, that didn't, you know, it wasn't just her. It was from her mother on, her cousins, her aunts and stuff that didn't actually, some did raise their kids, but a lot of them didn't. And so you had her brother, which is one of my uncles I love dearly. He was raised by someone else. You have one of her sisters that was raised by someone else that wasn't her mother. So it's just very, you see it like it was a pattern or something. And I tell people all the time, you have to make up in your mind, because just listening to my sister, she chose something different for her life, so she's doing something different for her and her daughters. You know, she chose to work and do, and you see that you can break the chain but you have to want to break the chain. I have five sisters, including my stepsister. I count her as my sister too. And I have two brothers. My oldest brother and I have the same biological parents, mother and father. So that's probably, my brother has been with me all my life. And so I'm really close to him. Now, while I do have other siblings and I talk to them occasionally, I'm not real close to them at all. You know, my brother is like my ride or die. So, you know, regardless of whatever else, like I said, just through situations, I guess, of us all having different mothers, even though I love them all, we're not real close. And in some instances, I think I came to realize is they don't really see us as family. Yeah, my brother lives now. I probably live about a good, if it takes me 15 minutes, maybe 10 minutes to get to his house now. He lives over in Memphis, but not very far from me. So, yeah, my brother and I are close. So a lot of times it's just we cannot talk about, y'all hear me talk. It's not that I don't have other siblings, but you'll hear me talk about my brother and Amber pretty much as my family, because that's who really kind of rolls and rolls with me through thick and thin, you know. So it just is what it is. And a lot of times you realize that even though you love and consider people your family, they don't necessarily love and treat you and consider you their family. And I've been blessed to have people in my life. I always say God sends you angels, you know, right here on earth. You know, I want all my family to win. I want the best for them. I'll do anything for them as I can. But you have to really realize that. And that's the thing. You have to make up in your mind where you can see where your life, somebody mentioned generational curses here, where you can see in your life where you possibly could go down another path. You, I'm telling you, you get God in your life. I said once God is in your life, all that's gone. But you have to trust and believe God, and you have to have a made up mind that I want something different, God, for my life. This is not what I want. This is not what I want for me. This is not what I want for my child. This is not what I want for my grandkids. This is not what I want for anybody, even around me. That's why I said I want everybody to win. Because it's a way you can go and you can make a decision that, and you can keep on blaming mama. Sometimes mama, and even though y'all, my mother was not in my life, I'm going to say this. I think she did the best she could. I think that she did the best she could. And me hoping and holding on what, oh, my mama could have did this, or she could have did that, or that, or this. It's only going to imprison me and hinder me. I got to make up in my mind. I had to make up in my mind. I want to move past that. I want to move past this. And guess what? Not only, and that's not saying I haven't done some things in my life that I could have been, but God, I'm telling y'all, even when I couldn't pray for myself and I just had gotten so down, my son died, I had gotten so down. And I could have given up. And it was a time I was so low. People say people don't get depressed. I went through a depression. That's what I thought about taking my own life. But God intervened. And I was listening to Tyler Perry say all the times he made attempts on his life. Now, I'm not no Tyler Perry now, no situation. I thought about it, but you know, but I'm just making light of this, but this is a serious conversation. That God intervened on him. And look at where he is today. And he said, had his things been successful, and I'm just talking about this because I'm thinking about Twitch. Had he been successful, we wouldn't have had the Tyler Perry we have today. But God, you have to be so thankful. And I'm like, you have a made up mind. So don't think because you came from a family or your mama didn't do or your daddy didn't do. Like I tell you, I didn't know that I was loved. I think now I recognize my dad did the best and he had like a very strict upbringing. So he loved us in the way he could, and his love for us was showing us by providing for us. You know, so you think about that, and you recognize that you either can hold on to, I didn't have this as a kid, you didn't provide this for me, you didn't do this for me. But when you get to a certain age, you're like, well, what can I do for myself? What can I do to move past this? What can I do to do better? You have to decide that, look, this is going to be a generational blessing for me. I don't have to take on this. I don't have to keep this going. This is not a tradition. I want to keep going. Do I want to keep on going with doing the wrong thing? I want to keep on doing, and hopefully that you want better for your children. You want better for yourself. So you want to start doing better and making better moves. So you just have to say, well, this is a blessing that they did the best they could for me. They did what they could. They do what they knew how. If I still hold on to, well, my dad didn't do this. He didn't talk to us. He didn't do this. He didn't show us. I can't focus on that. I hope that I did better with my child. I pray I did. And I pray that she even do better with her child. Because sometimes I'm not as affectionate as I should be. I think. I try to tell her I love her all the time so she'll know that she's loved and never have a doubt. But I hope that she moves better and have better, open, more relationship. I hope it gets better you hope it improves. So you can't, like I'm saying, if you feel like in your life that you didn't have the best break, make up in your mind today. With God, you got always the best break. You and God are the majority. And some of your life is not meant to be like Sally Sue's over here or John's over here. Your life is to be what your life is. And God can move you past all of that. Whatever situation you're in. I don't know, y'all know, I'll get to preaching in a minute. But whatever situation you're in, God can intervene, baby, and make it turn out all right. You go in one way, and they say God will clean you up and make you brand new. You go in one way, and you come out clean and brand new. And that's how life is, and you have to make up. And let me tell you something. Yeah, Amber did find a home. She's bought her home, and she's moved into her new home. Make up in your mind that you want to make a change today. Make up in your mind you want to make a change today. And don't worry about what you didn't have and what your family was like. And don't make up in your mind about that. It's not even important. And I'm going to tell you, in truth, and I had to really pray on this. Like, you can realize that, like I said, some family don't view you as family. You can love your family and want them to win, but, that doesn't mean that you have to be up on them if they causing you strife, turmoil, breaking up your peace, want to see everything. Oh, baby, what's your question, Lily? You're going to have to type it again, child. This thing moves so fast, I don't catch everything. So you're going to have to repeat your question, honey. Yeah, God can break any strongholds, and that's even for yourself. And like I said, I've been through made some mistakes in my life. I've done things, and I won't even call them mistakes. Some things I did, and I think, God, I ain't going to do that again. If you get me out of this, I know God said, I'm so sick of you. I am sick of you. End up doing them right again. God try to get you out of things, you go right back to him. Go right back to him. I was in a relationship, and he wasn't a bad person. He was good to Amber also. He's very good to Amber. I was with him for years. We had ups and downs, and I knew the relationship wasn't going anywhere, but I would be back and forth, back. Workplace politics. I'm going to tell you about this in a minute, too. Back and forth. And you got to study to try to move you. And you be constantly trying to go back, just hard-headed. I've done things in my life that wasn't right, but like I said, but God. We all had something. So don't let anybody condemn you or judge you, because everybody got something. They something may not be your something, but it's something. I had some whole lot of somethings that God cleaned me up from. I had some somethings in my life and still have some something. Because, I'm saved and I love God and God work on me. Sometimes you might say the wrong thing, especially when it comes to my daughter, my brother, and you might get some real curse words coming up from here. Yeah. Lord knows. And I try to be nice, but, sometimes, hey, look. You going to back up off my brother and you going to back up off my daughter. You might get it. I don't care who you are. So you might get it. Look, I say, Shanae, what's the name? I'm Marty. Shanae might come out on you in a minute now. So I still have to, I'm a work in progress still. Lord knows I am. Workplace politics exist. Let's just get it straight. Y'all, I've been at my company now almost 19 years, this particular company, but I've worked at other companies before, from public sector to the corporations. When I tell you they exist at every company, I'm going to say this. You're going to have some fair situations in your job. You're going to have some unfair situations in your job. Never get it twisted. Do not go to work to be liked. Okay? It's going to be some, Lord knows I have made some phenomenal friendships. We do girl trips. We hang out. We talk. I made some phenomenal relationships on my job, but I don't go to work for that. I don't. Those are bonuses as far as I'm concerned. There are some people that's just only going to ever be, and if you never get nothing but workplace acquaintances, that's a blessing. I'm telling you, God will bring you out. If you never get nothing but workplace acquaintances, that's fine too. Your whole purpose, I want you to go back to where you interviewed. When you interviewed, you went to work, you presume that they're going to be fair. You presume that, right? But you go to work and you go on that interview, right? And you say, your whole conversation on the interview is, they trying to find out what skills you got to bring to them. You trying to find out, look, is this going to be a fit for me? But what you going to pay me? How my conversation going to go? You know, what am I going to get out of this? So thank you, Lips. And you get that, and that's your exchange. They not trying to see if you can go to work to be friends. They do want to know if you're going to be a team player, be able to get the job done with the team, be able to do this, to have respect for one another. This is all my expectation is going to work. Now, you mess up my check. They say, well, you tell your manager. I ain't going to tell my manager nothing. I'm going to call payroll. I tell him, look, I've already called. Now, you do what you need to do, but I'm trying to find out about my pay. Long as my compensation right and I do my work, I expect you to treat me right. Treat me with respect. I went through a season where, this is no lie, I was the most educated in my department, except for my manager who had a PhD. But the director, the VP, all my peers, they were getting awarded stock options, awards, promotions. No one ever helped me with my job. But when I started asking for promotion, it was my attitude. Like, what? What? It was my attitude, y'all. I had an attitude problem because I asked for a promotion. I expected things. I was the only person of color in my department. Okay? I went through a season. on my job, y'all. I went through a season at this very company I work with. But I had to look at, even to the point I had to go to some counseling sessions. I had to look at the good outweigh the bad. Y'all, and I'm going to tell you how God will keep you still. And you still have to maintain who you are. That's why I say never allow people's actions to determine where you at. I still kept my character. I still came in every day. I still was kind to people. And I'm going to tell you, even when I tried to avoid the person that was one of the people that was just terrible towards me, God used me to have to be compassionate. And I'm like, I'm not even going to deal with this person anymore. I'm just going to avoid them. I'm just going to avoid them altogether. This person came to me. In fact, two of them. One of my managers that had put me under came to me crying. I had to be compassionate towards her. And another one came to me, and they both started talking to me about personal things, their personal life, their personal situations they're going through. I had to show them compassion. I had to pray for them. You know, sometimes you don't understand why God won't move you and God won't do things when you're ready. And I'm telling you, I had gotten to a breaking point. And I'm like, God, you're going to have to move. I've done all I can do. I've taken all. And God did not move me until God was ready to move me. But when he moved me, he showed up and showed out. And they say God will pay you back tenfold. He did. He showed up and showed out. I have since thankful to God. I've got a great manager. You know, he's not perfect by any means. But he works with me. A team that's not perfect. They frustrate me sometime too. It's going to be something on every job. They frustrate me sometime too, but it's a pretty good team. But I had good people I worked with before. You know? And I tell you, it's amazing how God will just show you, even though I have situations right now that's not 100% perfect. I've been promoted since I've been over here. In fact, I got promoted. I was going to talk about it one day um, on one of my videos, and I forgot. Somebody asked me, and I never did go back, but I was promoted back here in November to an advisor. So it's just God has continued to bless my life, and I'm so thankful. It wasn't much financially, but it was something, and that was more than I got where I was before. But for the most part, I work for FedEx. A lot of you all know that. For the most part, it's been, look, they have mess on that place too, but it's been mess at every company I worked with. It's been good and it's been bad. It's been some good, but it's more good. You take a scale, and it's more good balls on the bad balls. You see what I'm saying? But it's gonna be good balls and bad balls on every job. And ultimately, do not go to work making that your life. It helps you to live your life. And like I said, God kept me still because I was working my job and I was driving Lyft when my daughter was in college. And I wanted to quit, y'all. I wanted to quit. I wanted to quit. I was going through so much. I wanted to quit. And that's when I really started going through counseling. But my daughter's tuition kept me still. I had to pay her tuition. She went to Oglethorpe in Atlanta. And even though she was on scholarship, I still had a hefty part to pay. And I'm telling you, that kept me. I'm like, I can't quit. She depended on me. She depended on me. She depended on me. And I realized, I said, this job is to help you live your life. Don't even worry about it. You're going to have to take some things, true enough. Try not to take them out on your family. Try not to, I know sometimes you get frustrated and go, hey, Alberto, you go and try to, it's easy kind of to lash out at people that you love sometimes, because they're there. They don't understand you frustrated, you at your wit's end, but try not to take things out on the people that love you the most, that's there with you. That's luckily I was there by myself, so wasn't nobody to fuss at but me, myself, and I in that house. But try not to. But I always, and even if I got angry at work, I never did an email back in anger. I never responded in that moment. I would take a breath. And a couple of times I had to actually go to the restroom and cry. But I take a breath and I'll kind of get myself together, get my thoughts together, respond the next day. Never respond to anything in anger. Watch what you write, watch what you say. Because at the end of the day, it's a job. And you remember who you are and whose you are. Because who you are, your integrity, and your character cannot be taken away no matter what goes on that job. And guess what? God will make your enemies your footstool, and he will make your enemies bless you. And sometimes you think that you're supposed to be in a man's position, they not being fair to me. But guess what? No truer thing. Rejection is protection and redirection. God protecting you from something you don't even need to be in. I promise you. I promise you. But anyway, that's enough of the workplace politics. That's enough of the workplace positive. As a plus size woman, you know what's so funny? I have never been skinny. Of course, I ain't never been this big. My highest weight, y'all, was 360 pounds. And I've taught my daughter is not a skinny child. She's a grown woman now, of course. You must love yourself. And I'm going to tell you, if you don't have confidence, this will make you get confidence. And I always thought about this. I told you I lost my son. And I'm telling you, I was on the brink of giving up on life. But God. And I made up in my mind. Luckily, I guess I was always told that I was cute. But I always thought I was cute anyway. Y'all can see? Can't y'all see? But anyway, I tell you, I made up in my mind that life is too short. It's going to be some people that think you beautiful. It's going to be people that not. But it's more important what God thinks about you. What does God think about you? I said, God loves you. God created me. And so I started walking in that. I really started to walk in that. After I got through that situation, I'm like, only God could have brought me through not taking my life. And I said, God loves me. And I'm worth it. Life is worth living.
But I said, guess what? Who don't like you, that's their problem. It's not your problem. You got to love yourself like God loves you. Whether you ever lose a pound, of course I've been working on weight is, oh Jesus. I've been up and down working on it. As y'all know my situation now, I'm trying to get to the point to have my knee surgery. But I said, you have to know that you are something special, regardless of it. And y'all tell y'all something my ex-husband said. He never tried it again, but it was so funny at the time. Um, but I said, you going to love yourself. And if you die here today, if this is the last minute of your life today, who don't have confidence in yourself, if this is the last minute of your life today, how do you want to go? How do you want to feel about yourself? Do you even care what somebody else think? Who cares what they think? Who cares if they don't like you? Love yourself right where you are. It's nothing wrong with working on yourself. Did I think that, yeah, being 360 was the thing to do? No, but I'm like, this is where I'm at now, so I got to love me now. You know, and I'm at 260 something now, so I got to love me now, whether I get smaller or not. I got to love me now, because if this is my last breath, why waste my time on caring what somebody else think? Caring about if they like me or don't like me. I like me. I love me. God loves me. And that's more than enough. And you, baby, got to get to that point where you get to that point, you realize life is worth living, life is precious, and the person you are right here and right now is precious, is worth it. It's enough. You're enough right where you are. If you never lose a pound, if you never gain a pound, look, some of y'all might be thinking you're too skinny, you might need this, love yourself right here. Because today, the rest of the day ain't promised, let alone tomorrow. You got this minute right now, the present. Enjoy yourself in the present. Enjoy your life in the present. Work on you every day to improve you. I always say, they say practice make perfect, but I never say practice make improvement, because it's always something. God will always show you something where you need to kind of keep on working and keep on doing and keep on getting better. Keep working on yourself, baby, but love yourself right where you are. And I guess and it's been years, like, and I raised my daughter to love yourself right where you are. Look, thank you so much, Mick. I got a long way to go. This weight loss is getting on my nerves. And I wrote that in my journal too, but I know God is going to work that thing out, and I'm going to keep on working on it. I have slip and falls, and luckily I can't eat a whole lot, but I have days where I eat things I'm not supposed to, but it's a work in progress, and that's life. That's life. I talk to my nutritionist about this all the time, my dietitian, that you're going to eat things that you're going to, it's not like you're going to live the rest of your life eating lettuce, celery sticks. Of course, I love me some celery and some cucumbers, y'all know, but hey, but you're going to eat things. Oh, the taco soup was delicious. As a matter of fact, my brother was sick yesterday, and I got some, but I put 2 bowls in the freezer. So when he does come over here, I put 2 big bowls in the freezer. And it made a lot. And ain't nobody here but me. But Amber doesn't eat taco soup. But it turned out real good. I really like taco soup, so it'll be some. And I try to have things here, too, when I don't feel good. Because some days my knees are just on 10. And then I don't feel good. It's always something here cooked for me to eat. And I'm not a real big fan. Like, I normally, even though I eat some processed things, and I do some frozen meals here and there, I'm not a big fan of those frozen meals. I have some in the freezer just in case. I'm not a big fan of those. I like cooked meals. I don't eat out a whole lot, even though I do eat out. So I try to have some things here. But I do eat canned soup, which is not the best. Thank you, Will. Oh, you're welcome. I hope you enjoyed them. I do try to, and y'all pardon me if I don't, like I say, this things move so fast. Sometimes I can't catch the comments. But what you eat with the taco soup, sometimes I put cheese on it. Sometimes if I have some guacamole, I'll put guacamole on it. I eat it with tortilla chips. I eat it with crackers. And a lot of times I like it with just plain white rice. But I eat chili with white rice too. So I eat them three different places. Someone asked me, I did see that earlier, and I know I hadn't went back to it. Was my financial goals for next year. My financial goals, I don't set resolutions. My goals every year is to increase my investment portfolio, which I uh, put money in regularly. I put money in regularly. Yeah, I eat them with taco strips sometimes. I put money in regularly. They get them like, I eat those on my lately. I eat those on my I haven't tried it with corn chips, but I didn't think the regular Frito. I bet they're good with corn chips. I eat those on my salad too sometimes. But my financial goal every year, like I said, is to increase my investment portfolio. And I encourage anybody to get investments. Like I encourage you to get dividend, stocks with dividends. I'm no financial advisor. This is just my own. I invest in companies that I like, Coca-Cola. I do some goof off money every year just trying something, but mostly these are long-standing companies that I invest in, ETF, stuff like that. Index funds and stuff is what I invest in, but that's my goal every year. And like I said, I do regularly monthly contributions to that and contribute to my Roth IRA every year, up my 401k contributions every year. I go up automatic 1%. And when I get a raise, so normally I don't even see the raise. My check is pretty much static. Right now, I got a debt to the IRS. I'm hopefully going to pay off the debt, decrease my debt. I have a Christmas club. I have a vacation club. I try to take a trip every year, so financially I try to contribute to those. But I try to not take on debt, but with me getting this house, I did take on the debt of the fence, and I allowed myself to buy myself a bedroom suite. Now, once I get those paid off, I want to get me, and I really want a new car, but it's a want. My car's running. It's just a want. Y'all, I've told y'all several times I want a Lexus SUV, but hey, that's just a want. That's not a need right now. I really need some new mattresses on my bed, but I want what do you call them, adjustable things that go up the bed. I want that, but I'm not going to take on any more debt. Even though I have room on my furniture account, I'm not going to take on any more debt until I get the debt paid off. My financial goal is always to save more money, to have more money at the end of the year. Right now, I may have $2,000 saved, which is not good, but if something happened, I'm going to tell you, I don't tithe in the traditional way. I ask God to continue to bless me to be a blessing. Although I do give to churches, I give outside also. And I don't give to a church particularly all the time because I'm not a member anywhere. I'm not a member, so, one thing I do believe, I believe God blesses us and wants us to be givers. Do I believe in tithing in traditional way? Back in the day, it was livestock and things of that nature. But also, you need to give God some of your time. I think God wants us to bless others. And sometimes I think that God will move on you to bless somebody else right there by you. That is given to him. And you giving unto God by blessing somebody that needs a blessing. You giving to people that they can't give it back to you. You're giving to show people that get a good, well, honey, I ain't getting no Lexus right now, so that's neither here nor there unless something happens. You don't know how God might move. But, I give in those ways. I try to give every month to something, some type of way, whether it be in church or whether it be, to bless someone, whether it be to charity or something like that. I try to be a giver, and I've asked God to bless me to be able to give more, to do more. And I think that's why God continues. I say you cannot beat God's giving. Sometimes it's not limited to 10%. Sometimes God will move you to give more than 10%. So I tell people, don't get so focused on a 10% tithe. You give how God placed on your heart to give. Because some months he might move you to give more than 10%. But I promise you, you cannot beat God's giving. You can't beat God's giving. God will give it back to you tenfold. And don't give to people with the expectations of getting back. Because that's not how God wants us to move. It's like you making a business deal if you trying to get a folks and then want them to give back to you. Because most of the time, the people you bless are not meant to bless you back. They're not meant to bless you back. They meant to bless somebody else. They meant to bless. And when you start looking at that, you be a blessing to be a blessing so they can be a blessing. Not necessarily back to you. Because, yeah, sometimes they will bless you back. But sometimes they won't. And so you can't feel some type of way when that person is not, well, I'm in a bind now. So when you bless them, that was what God put on your heart to bless them. It wasn't an investment for a future so you could reach some returns. You know, I tell my daughter all the time, you know, I would like to think my daughter's going to do for me later in life if I need it. But I tell all the time, I did for you and I blessed you because that's what God entrusted me to do for you. Now, the extra since you got to do your own, I want to bless you. You don't owe me. You don't owe me to pay me back. Yeah, bless without expectations. You do for each one, reach one. And when you bless people, you pray. And I tell people all the time, if I give you something, don't worry about it. Maybe you can bless to be a blessing to somebody else later on in life. You know, right now, and we've all had situations, like I tell you, I have been so low. And I'm the type of person, and God has dealt with me on this too, and it's still hard for me. I would be doing without, y'all. I would be so, and guess why I try to help people that sometimes don't ask. Because I know what that looks like. Because I had people bless me when I didn't ask. Because I don't know if it was pride or I just wouldn't ask people for help. I wouldn't ask people for help, and it was hard for me to accept help. So sometimes I will give to people that I know. And sometimes, y'all may think this is something strange to say. Sometimes you have to give for people that don't need it. It's not about if they need it or not. It's not about if they need it or not that you can see financial. Sometimes you have to bless and do for people, and those are people sometimes are hurting more than anything. And just a simple, here's something, here's a card, here's something for you, some lunch today. They don't need you to buy their lunch. They don't need you to buy their lunch. They got plenty of money to buy lunch 50 times over. But you don't know what that does to uplift their spirit. They go through things just like we do. You can impart something good in their life just by doing something for them. Even the most well-off have people they not seen sometimes. They looked at as a wallet by people. And to have somebody do something so simple for them, they know that they are appreciated. They know that they are seen. They know that they are thought of, and somebody's not looking to get something from them all the time. But that somebody wanted to bless them and impart something good. And guess what? It doesn't always have to be giving somebody something. Sometimes you could just take the time out just to spend to talk to somebody, to go see them, to pick up the phone and say, hey, I'm not a big texter. In fact, I really am not one to text a whole lot. If I do, it's something silly, a joke or something. It's nothing about nothing. But, you know, pick up the phone and just say, hey, how you doing? You took the time out to spend that time, to take that time with me. You know, I didn't even know we had been on. Yeah, I didn't know. And I tell you sometimes, and y'all, I'm going to use this as an example. I have some coworkers that do different stuff, you know, as volunteer work. I don't get involved in their stuff. And just recently I was talking to my coworker about some of the things I was doing. And she said, she asked me, she heard me talking, and I guess I was talking about something when I gave the young ladies to the Christmas bags. And I was talking to them. And so later on that day, she asked me, did I have a nonprofit? And I told her no. And I was just telling them that something the YouTube family had donated, you know, so they could be blessed with the Christmas bags. And we talked about that. And I just said, you know, sometimes you will stop doing something because we are so busy. I'm going to come back to that comment too. We're so busy focused on trying to do things on the big picture where you might not need to have an impact on the big picture. Your impact needs to be on the little picture. You sitting up here trying to worry about why I donate to St. Jude's. I'm going to say donating to St. Jude's is the big picture. And it has a ripple effect because it really helps those children. So I make the decision that that's something I want to do. But You walk past a homeless person that need to eat a meal, and you so focused on I'm gonna donate to St. Jude's, well, you might need to take $10 and just give that person a meal. That's the impact and blessing you can have on their life right now. And so don't get thinking that what you do is small. What you do may be big to one person, and that's all it needs to be big to. You feeding that person a meal right now. You blessing that person with an encouraging word right now. And that may be somebody right in your home. So watch your tongue and how you speak to the people and what you speak over their lives right in your house. You could speak good over their lives. I said I was coming back to that writing letter. And I try to do this at least once a year. Once a year. Take time out to mail somebody, anybody. You know how it is to feel like it just feels like you'd be nice to get something in the mail besides junk mail and bills. Write a person a letter. Write a person a postcard. It's somebody on here that's real good about that. Kimberly Cochran, if y'all don't ever go to her, I think her channel is called Kim Inspired Life. But she's good about writing letters and stuff. But it's good to write a letter to somebody to just say, hey, it's good to just read an old-fashioned letter or either send them a greeting card. Hey, how you doing? Or just thinking about you, thoughts of you, whatever. And not have to be during the holidays, just any time during the year, just pick it. And I think people miss that. They're so instantaneous with this text messaging and, all of that. But it's just nice to just get an old-fashioned. Thank you so much. I'm glad you enjoy them. Thank you for being a support. But yeah, definitely. I know I've been on here a long time, and y'all have hung in here with me. I didn't realize we've been in way over an hour and a half. But like I said, I did an impromptu live. We're going to get back. I guess I'm going to circle it all back around before we get off of here tonight. And I just want to thank you all again for all the support you've shown me over the years, for the channel growth, for just you watching, watching the channel. That's a blessing. That's a blessing. And remember her. And then, sometimes you just have to thank. And y'all, when people do for you, that's one of my biggest things. That's why I always say thank you. When people do for you, just say thank you. Don't take it for granted. Because it's a blessing to have people bless your life. Show them some appreciation. Sometimes people not even looking for appreciation. You're not going to always get thanks for it. But if it's somebody you know, tell them thank you. Don't take it for granted. But like I said, I thank you all for coming. You watch the channel. You support me. You encourage me in the comments. You encourage each other in the comments. Keep it going. And I know all the time, just because I work full time, and especially when I crank out a lot of videos, like I did this month, and it's hard for me to answer all the comments. It's hard to me to answer all the comments anytime we're working full time with all the social media platforms, because I try to engage on every platform. But I try to answer you again. Keep encouraging one another in the comments, and just supporting each other. I just appreciate y'all, and I want to leave y'all with this tonight. I'm praying for all of you all. I pray that God blesses your life. I pray that He keeps you covered, keeps you protected, keep you in joy. And even when you're down, know that God's arms is around you. I want you to leave with that, knowing that you are loved by God. Whether anybody ever tells you love you, God loves you. He loves you. And I want you to go into the new year. You do the best you can on your savings. Look, you might think, and don't try to compare yourself to Jill or Johnny over here. If you can only save $1 or 10 cents, start putting it away. It adds up. Tell yourself something good every day. Get up thanking God every day, because every day is another day of grace and brand new mercies I see. And I tell you, He honors His promises. It may not come when you want it, but He will come on time. I promise you He will. And I just want you all to be blessed in this new year, blessed abundantly. More importantly, not maybe with riches, but riches in joy and riches in love. And I want to know that you can do whatever it is you set your mind to. With God, all things are possible. I thank y'all, thank y'all, thank y'all again for the support. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for the 10,000 plus family members. I love y'all. And if I don't see y'all before New Year, I don't know if I'm getting on tomorrow, but happy New Year. Happy New Year. We're going to hit 2023. We're going to claim the victory. We're going to roll it right on through. That is what we going to do. Y'all know I'll make a tune out of anything. But I love you, love you, love you. Y'all have a good night. Thank you. Bye.